Welcome to Mansfield, Ohio. It's race number 6 for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. The fans have come in droves, and Mansfield has its second sellout for short track racing in Ohio.
It was once said, if you build it, they will come. For Mansfield, Ohio, they came. And they came hard, fast, tough. 10 years tough. They came for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. They came, and this year, the game continues.
We're back in Ohio for short track racing in front of 25,000 strong. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series pre-race show is presented by Craftsman. Inclement weather has been in the area, in the Mansfield, Ohio area all weekend, but just partly cloudy today, and temperature is going to be 54 degrees. We look at the 4 top 10 point standings, and after a dominant performance at Gateway, Ted Musgrave has moved his name to the top of the list. But one driver vacant from this list is 3-time series champ Jack Sprague.
Jack Sprague continues to lead. He's led all of the laps here so far. Look at the 16 of Jack Sprague, putting distance through Wade Evans and Dennis Sesser. Here comes Jack Sprague for win number 24 in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
The Mansfield victory 1 year ago for Jack Sprague may have been the highlight of the 2004 season. In fact, that's a drastic understatement. Mechanical failures are always hard to overcome, but multiple blown engines saw the 16 team plummet down the point standings. When the Silverado crew was not looking under the hood, they were repairing broken sheet metal. Sprague has now gone 26 races without a victory, and that's the longest drought of his Craftsman Truck Series career. Well, folks, if you take a look right over my shoulder, you'll see the front stretch over there, and that's where there's a whole lot of trucks lined up. And then if you come over here, you'll see this is the back stretch, and then there's a whole lot of trucks lined up. And Jack Sprague, you're back here on the back stretch. What's that all about?
Well, we were fortunate enough to have to qualify second after 3 hours of jet drying, and it kind of got me and Bobby and Dennis. It's just, you know, they spray a lot of kerosene out of the jet fuel dryers. That's what they run off of, and it oils the track down. And I knew that I was in trouble when it kept raining like it did all day yesterday. But, I mean, that was luck of the draw. There was no really way to fix that. I mean, you couldn't let us practice and then qualify. We'd already went through tech, so we just had to qualify on kerosene, basically, and I pretty much went around here sideways completely for 2 laps. I guess it was pretty exciting to watch. I wish I could have watched it myself. But
well, I know it's going to be exciting to watch you work your way through the field. This guy starts all the way back in 25th.
Cut me off, Ray?
Yeah.
Cut me off?
Yeah, we got a lot of people to talk to today.
We can get the Chevy truck Chevrolet toward the front. Quit cutting me off. I'm going to talk to him.
Go, baby, go to the front. Now, we do know a guy that's in the front, and that's Ted Musgrave, and I'm pretty sure we can hear about him from Wendy.
Ted Musgrave had not led a lap in 2005 until 2 weeks ago at St. Louis, where he dominated the race, leading 158 of 160 laps. Pure domination for the Ultra Motorsports camp. Ted Musgrave, you also took over the points lead. That's the first time you've done that since July 2002. Are you back on top now?
Just for a while, but here we are at Mansfield, and anything can happen, and the points are so tight that I think the guy in 4th place can come out of here in the lead right now. So, hey, that'd be my teammate, so that'd be all right.
All right, another win today for Ultra Motorsports could put that on top for all-time wins in the Truck Series, beating out Roush Motorsports.
Drivers continuing to be introduced to this great crowd in Mansfield, Ohio. A year ago, the top 5 at this race was dominated by veterans. We'll see today if the veterans will continue their dominance of the Craftsman Truck Series. Speed Channel's Ohio's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series pre-race show is brought to you by Craftsman, celebrating 10 years tough in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. One driver who's very tough, Johnny Benson, running the full season this year. He's got camouflage paint job on the truck. And Ray Dunlap caught up with JB for our first tailgate talk.
Today's tailgate talk is with Johnny Benson. Did you have a hero when you were a young kid?
My dad. My dad raced a lot, obviously, and it's always a pleasure to have him come around to the races.
You're not just a race car driver, but you're a racetrack owner.
There's a AAA ball club there in town there that ended up buying it. They wanted me to be involved in it, so that's what I did.
How much time do you spend with a wrench in your hand playing with race cars?
I started actually building chassis and that when I was about 11 or 12.
The Truck Series schedule gives you some time off. Who mows the grass?
Well, we got people that do that.
You ever think you'd be a TV guy?
I still don't think I am. We were just talking the other day. It's our 9th year doing that. Well, where'd all that time will go?
Johnny Benson, one of 2 drivers that would like to add his name to the list of 13 that have already won in all 3 of the upper series of NASCAR. Now, the other driver that would like to add his name to that is Ricky Craven in the number 99. Now, last race that we had in Gateway, Ricky Craven was running very well up to 3rd and was looking for another top 5 finish until Mike Skinner came along and moved him out of the way. That made Ricky Craven a little upset. They had some words. Let's find out if he's gotten over it, right?
Well, Rick, we are down by the Super Chips Ford, and you'll notice the boss man is here, Jack Roush. And does it make it any difference that he's here watching? Because I know you have to have in the back of your mind what happened at St. Louis.
Well, I'm glad to have him here. He's a big supporter of ours, and you know, we're both got the same objective. We're battling for this championship with Ford and Super Chips, and what an outstanding effort the guys gave us this weekend. I had never seen the place until we got here. Made a few laps. They put me at the top of the board, and didn't have such a good second practice, but they put the truck back to the first practice, came out qualified, and I'm ready to race. I really like this kind of stuff.
You know what, Ricky, I'm sure the pit strategy is going to play a big part in that. So how much discussion have you and Mike Beam had about how you're going to play this race out today?
We talk a lot about it. You know, we got the same truck that we ran in Martinsville. I expect we're going to have the same strategy. You know, we came up a little bit short, but we're ready for the game today.
Truck number 35 finished 2nd at Martinsville, and he's starting 2nd today here at Mansfield. Wendy?
Ron Hornaday sits on the pole for the 13th time in his career. Now, Hornaday leads with 27 wins in the series, and 8 of those victories have come at tracks that you've never seen before, just like Mansfield today. What makes you so good at these kind of tracks that you've never seen?
The crew, basically, and the GM Goodwrench truck. Wally, the guys, I mean, every adjustment we made, we went out there and got quicker, and just after the track a little bit. This track reminds me of Tucson, where I got the call from Dale Earnhardt. So I got to thank Kevin Delaney and get an opportunity to drive this rocket ship. It's going to be a lot of fun today.
The last time Ron Hornaday sat on the pole was in Evergreen in 1999. Ray?
Good qualifying effort for Tracy Hines, and this is a racetrack where he got his best career finish 1 year ago of 5th, and you guys tested here. What's the strategy going to be to work your way to the front?
Just use our heads. We got a good Thorsport Racing 13. The guys did a good job. Now it's just use our heads. I know some of the guys have a fantasy league going on. They got me in it, so top 5 should be for sure.
We hope so. And Thorsport Racing just up the road, about 45 miles from here, so a lot of fans in the stands watching Tracy Hines.
Mr. Paul Latourne.
And they want to see the activities continuing, and so we'll go down trackside for today's invocation.
I got to say this. Sunday, Sunday, God's Graceway, you be there. Let us pray. We are grateful, Lord, for this day, for this place, this your creation, and the opportunity to be here. We receive it as your gift, and we give it to your glory. As we consider the stands that are in the corner, that the wind, the power of the wind that twisted them and broke them, we are grateful, Lord, that it was only metal that was damaged and that no lives were harmed. And in the same way, as we complete this race, Lord, we pray that whatever happens, it will be no more than metal. And allow us, Lord, to thank you for this power that is in your hands. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you very much, Paul. We're going to turn the microphone over to Miss Felicia Camp for the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we
Felicia Camp.
Drivers are climbing into their trucks, getting ready for the most famous words in auto racing. We are ready for it as well. The fans are on their feet, ready to go. 13 cautions a year ago in this race. There were 20 trucks that ended up on the lead lap, but it was Jack Sprague who was able to get through the carnage of the trucks that didn't make it all the way around and ended up in victory lane. Mansfield, Ohio for the second race in Ohio. The last NASCAR event was 50 years ago. And again, a sellout crowd in Mansfield. Welcome to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series UAW-GM Ohio 250. Now, Friday afternoon, a funnel cloud touched down and wiped out 2,500 seats just outside of turn number 1. The crews have been working endlessly, nonstop, cleaning up this area, trying to get it ready for today's race. They brought in some bleachers. Elrod Corporation from Indianapolis brought in bleachers from Indianapolis and Baltimore for the fans today. Hello, everyone. I'm Rick Allen alongside of Boris Said and Phil Parsons. Now, Phil, that weather did affect our qualifying as well.
Well, Rick, it sure did. NASCAR was able to get a couple practices in for the teams in between rain showers. Dennis Setzer was the quickest truck in both of those practice sessions. They had another rain shower right prior to qualifying, and what that means, as Jack Sprague told us earlier, is they have to get the jet dryers out there, and the residue from the fuel in the jet dryers makes the racetrack really slick. So the guys that went out early to qualify really had a disadvantage. Jack Sprague was one of those. Bobby Hamilton, our defending series champion, went out early, qualified in the back, and our short track master, Dennis Setzer, who was the fastest truck in both practice sessions, ended up qualifying back in the 20s because he went out early. And Boris, on a little short track like this, it's not going to be an easy choice for them to get to the front.
No, and it's a unique short track. I mean, the preferred line is kind of more in the middle, so it makes passing really tough. But those guys are like bulldogs, and I'm sure when the pay window opens at the end of the race, they'll be at the front.
As Boris said, a very difficult track here, somewhat flat. It's a progressive banking. The flat is the inside of the corners is a lot flatter as it progresses up.
You see the racetrack's about a half mile. As Boris said, the middle of the racetrack is really the preferred line. The lower you go, the flatter it is. Equal straightaways, front and rear. The corners are about the same each end.
A lot of traveling, or on the low side, we're going to see more passing where they're going to try to tuck the nose underneath the trucks.
They really are, and they're going to try to get a good bite up off the corner, and that's what's going to be difficult because it's so flat down there. You see 36 trucks, 250 laps, a little bit over $450,000.
And that pit window could be up to 180 laps. We don't expect to see that as we had 13 cautions a year ago. But let's get this one started. Let's go down for today's command.
And Ken Williams from Graham Auto Mall, going to say the most famous words in racing. Ken?
Drivers, start your engines.
Oh, that's what we've been waiting for.
The engines are fired up, and we're moments away from the UAW-GM Ohio 250 from Mansfield, Ohio. A sellout crowd on hand for this one. Truck Series UAW-GM 250 on Speed Channel is brought to you by Chevy. The new Chevrolets, an American revolution. By Craftsman, celebrating 10 years tough of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. And by TGI Fridays, irresistible new sizzling platters. Everyone could use more Fridays. Great crowd on hand. As the trucks begin to roll, let's take a look at the Domino's starting grid. On the pole for the 12th time in his career, Ron Hornaday, and just outside him with his best career start is Ricky Craven.
Darrell Waltrip Motorsports teammates back starting 8th and 9th. David Ruderman and Robert Huffman.
Brad Keselowski will start on the inside of row number 9. A new sponsor on there, PetrostroneInc.com.
There's Steve Parker, our winner earlier this year in California, starting on the inside of row number 10.
Look at the names back here in 13 through 15. Bobby Hamilton, Jack Sprague, Dennis Setzer. Again, Jack mentioned the jet dryers going out early caused them to have a little bit more difficult time getting around for qualifying.
See Brendan Gaughan, he makes his start here, and Alex Jans makes his first ever start. 18-year-old from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, inside of row number 17.
42 trucks tried to qualify. 6 were not able to make the field, and those are the drivers that did not make this field. We'll be riding along with 3 different drivers. Jack Sprague will start in 25th position, so we'll have a great seat to watch him try to work his way through the field.
There's Mr. Excitement. Jimmy Spencer will drive the Team ASC Dodge. He starts from the 12th position.
Starting in the 9th spot will be Robert Huffman. A pretty good start for, as you mentioned, Darrell Waltrip Motorsports, number 12 of Robert Huffman. And we'll ride along with him as well. Ron Hornaday has the opportunity to win the Craftsman Win from the Pole Award. $2,000 is in the purse since Ted Musgrave won it 2 weeks ago. It starts back over at $2,000. If Ron is not able to win it, $2,000 will continue to be added to the purse until someone does win it. $50,000 available to the teams this year. Let's go back down trackside to Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. You know, a lot of people probably watched the Nextel Cup race at Darlington just a week ago on Saturday night. Ryan Newman got himself put in a position where he had to make a decision at the end of the race. Do I pit or do I not? We may see the same thing happen here tonight. Check this out. There's a lot of guys who are going to have sticker tires down here in the pit area, and they may only come in 1 time today. Why? Because we do expect a lot of cautions in this race, and track position is going to be so important. But I don't think it'll be a green-white checkered situation. Look around, lap 150 is going to be when people have to make that big decision. Wendy?
Track position is key, Ray, but for some folks starting in the back, like Bobby Hamilton, Jack Sprague, and Dennis Setzer, the starting lineup was a little bit deceiving because they went out early in qualifying while the track was still green. So those veterans are starting in the back, but Bobby Hamilton told me before the race he thinks his truck is good enough to pull out and pass, so I'll be sure to bet on those 3 veterans moving up through the field fairly quickly, even though it is hard to pass here at Mansfield.
36 trucks on a half-mile track. That makes it hard. It's just a difficult situation in short track racing.
Especially on a track like this, it's pretty difficult to pass. You know, Jack Sprague starting back in the 20s right now. In 197 starts coming into this season, you realize he only started out of the top 15 17 times.
Unbelievable.
What a terrific record he has in this truck series. 3-time champion, as you mentioned earlier.
He's got his work cut out for him too with Ron Hornaday on the pole. Ron Hornaday, the most wins by short tracks in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. So not only does he have to pass a lot of trucks to get up there, but he's also got to pass one of the best on short tracks in the trucks.
And Boris, the competition gets better and better. You ran this series on a regular basis a few years ago. What is the competition like now with all these great teams?
It's unbelievable now, and now you have a mix. You know, you have all these old veterans coming from the Cup Series, and you have all these young kids that are just hungry to get to the Cup Series, and they're all meeting in the middle. And I mean, with that much competition, everybody's so close together is probably the biggest reason you see a lot of cautions at these races. But it's exciting. That's what fills the seats.
There's a lot of seats filled in this racetrack.
At 25,000 is what we heard from the Mansfield folks. There are a lot of folks here. They really enjoy short track racing. They came out in droves a year ago. There was about 20,000 stands a year ago. They were sold out for that. They decided we need to add some more stands because we have more fans that want to come out and enjoy this race.
Rick, we've got some radio communication with Jimmy Spencer. Let's see if we can raise him on the radio here. Jimmy Spencer, Phil Parsons, can you hear me?
Yeah, sir. How you doing today, man?
Good, buddy. You talked yesterday, told us how you really had struggled in practice. Red Dog and the guys must have changed some stuff and got your truck a lot better for qualifying.
Yeah, they did. So, you know, Teddy and myself were struggling, and we never could get the truck to turn in the center of the corner, and they made some big changes, truck arms, A-arms, and did a lot of changes, and Gene and Red Dog come up with some good stuff, and ended up qualifying decent, so it's going to be a good day today. I feel I got my truck pretty down, so long race out.
Jimmy, you grew up on racetracks like this. How hard is it going to be to get to the front?
Phil, I know it sounds like you can't do it, but I love this racing, man. I'm excited about it. Patience is the key. Keeping your fenders on, keeping your brakes on. Patience. Ready to go, baby.
All right, Jimmy, thanks. Get ready to go to work, buddy.
It's hard to hear Jimmy Spencer talk about patience. He's usually the most aggressive guy in the racetrack and the most exciting to watch.
They really don't go hand in hand almost, do they? Jimmy Spencer and patience.
I think he has a different. I think he has a different word in the dictionary for patience.
Mr. Excitement, using the word patience is how he wants to work his way to the front of the field. Ron Hornaday sets the pace as he sits on the pole. Just outside of him, again with a career best start, Ricky Craven looking for that first ever win in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. As the field comes out of turn number 4, the green flag flies and we're racing. Ron Hornaday runs up the track a little bit with Ricky Craven on the outside, and bumping and banging begins already.
Remember, it's very cold outside. These drivers let a lot of air pressure out of these tires for a long run, so they're going to have their hands full for a few laps.
Speeds will be getting very close to 100 miles an hour average around this half-mile track. And right now, Jimmy Spencer is actually getting shuffled back early on.
Got hung up on the outside. The middle of the racetrack is the preferred line. Let's see if he can make his way back in line here. You've got a side-by-side battle. There's a side-by-side battle between Shane Meal on the inside, the 15 truck, and Ted Musgrave, our most recent winner, and they won.
And bumping and banging going on early. Butch Miller in the 07 for this race.
Ricky Craven's going to go. Made a little contact a couple different times. You see Ron Hornaday get completely sideways. Ricky able to get by him. Ron's going to try to fight back on the inside.
Craven taking over the top spot as they come out of turn number 4. Ricky Craven will be a new leader in Mansfield.
It's going to be hard to make passes at this kind of racetrack without making some contact, isn't it, Boris?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much you kind of got to use the fender to get by. It's on all short tracks. That's what makes them so much fun to watch.
Battle for the lead side by side. Hornaday wants it back. He takes it away as they go down the back stretch and across the start-finish line. That's Ron Hornaday back in front. And now look at Rick Crawford making his way on the inside of Ricky Craven. He wants to mix it up early on.
We understand that NASCAR has warned the crew of the 99 to watch the aggressive driving right now. They made a little contact with Ron Hornaday. That's how we got the lead. NASCAR's warned him.
And Musgrave trying to look on the inside of Shane Meal in number 15. It is the 6 of Ron Hornaday, Ricky Craven, Rick Crawford, the 15 of Shane Meal, and the 1 of Ted Musgrave, your top 5.
We've seen a lot of drivers try to use the bottom of the racetrack, but it's a lot flatter down the bottom. As you mentioned before, it's progressive banking. It's hard for them to get a real good fight off the bottom of the corner.
Mike Skinner has made the comment, it's easier to turn around a corner on 8 tires than it is on 4, so you can almost use the guy on the outside to make your way around the corner.
If you can get up beside somebody, then you try to move them up the hill a little bit so you can have the banking in the middle of the racetrack. But if you're not quite up side by side with them, you're going to be susceptible for them to come down the hill and chop you off.
Riding along with Jimmy Spencer, the first caution flies. And that is for the 9 of Shigeaki Hattori. He gets spun around in turn number 2. That comes out on lap number 9. We'll take a quick commercial break and we will sort all of the positions out when we come back to Mansfield, Ohio. It's Wind Tunnel at 9 p.m. You can join Dave Despain with his special co-host, team owner Chip Ganassi. He has cars in NASCAR, IRL, and the Grand American Rolex Series. There'll be plenty to talk about. You can call in or email. Let your opinions be heard. Wind Tunnel tonight, 9 p.m. with Chip Ganassi.
The road stretches out ahead, and you can follow it anywhere. This is freedom. Get the feeling now at your Honda dealer. With freedom of choice financing, choose interest rates as low as 6.9%, or choose monthly payments starting at $39, or even choose no payments for 6 months. Plus, get up to $200 in bonus bucks. For details, go to choice.honda.com. Then go to your Honda dealer and exercise your right to freedom.
Let me guess. You've been injured in a motorcycle accident because someone turned in front of you. What's worse, the police report says you were at fault. Sound hopeless? It's not. I'm Pat Riley, and we specialize in motorcycle accident cases. Call me, and I'll personally come meet with you. And remember, there's no charge until we settle your case. Call 1-800-CYCLE-USA, the motorcycle lawyers. That's 1-800-CYCLE-USA.
Time for spring cleaning, and I'm talking about your car. Hi, I'm Ron Ananian, the car doctor, and it's time for another Castrol Car Care Minute. An oil change is a good place to start, but your air filter, your trans filter, and your cabin filter all may need to be changed. Do it, and your car will breathe a whole lot easier. Also, a front-end safety inspection is what I recommend each spring. Check all major steering and suspension components to be sure they're safe. And a wheel alignment, too, to help keep your tires wearing nice and even. And maybe it's time to rotate the tires. Most vehicle manufacturers recommend a tire rotation every 6.
Welcome back to Mansfield, Ohio. Ron Hornaday continues to be out in front. We've got our second caution that's taken place on the track, and that was because Shiggy Ettore got into the wall. No fault of his own. Tracy Hines got into him, put him into the wall, but the caution did come out. Now, I believe Ray Dunlap has found out about another driver who has had some problems, Ray.
Well, let's talk about Jimmy Spencer, Rick, in the number 2 truck, the Ultra Wheels Dodge. He came in down on lap number 23 and put right side tires on, went right back to the racetrack. They needed to pull the fender out on the right front because he had gotten a good bit of damage over here in turn number 2. So they came back down pit road on lap 24 to put the left side tires on, and unfortunately they weren't able to do it fast enough. So now Jimmy Spencer is down 1 lap. Wendy?
Tracy Hines was one of those trucks involved in that accident on lap 20. He was hit pretty hard, and they were worried about the toe being off, but they did come in. It looks like just body damage, and nothing is broke on the 13 truck of Tracy Hines, but he had a great run last year at Mansfield, so a little bit of disappointment in Tracy Hines' voice after that accident. He feels like a lap truck is what took him out, but they stayed on the lead lap with that pit stop, and it looks like he could possibly make it up on this long race.
Green flag flies. We're back to racing. 2 trucks on the inside. That's Regan Smith in the 65 and the 2 of Jimmy Spencer. Those are 2 lap trucks in this race.
Regan Smith was another truck that lost a lap on pit road. Right now, Jimmy Spencer really has to show some patience. All he needs to do is get by that 65 truck, and then he will be the lead truck, not on the lead lap, and he will be able to get a free pass back. And, well,
the caution's going to come out, I believe, because the 65 of Regan Smith spins around. Jimmy Spencer gets around him. So,
well, if they determine that Jimmy Spencer caused the 65 to turn out, he may not get the free pass. What I started to say was all he has to do is use patience, get in front of the 65. When the caution comes out, he gets the free pass. So it's going to be interesting to see how NASCAR calls this.
I think Jimmy got a little frustrated because it looked like Reagan spun his tires on the restart and didn't get a great restart. And Jimmy was all over him going into turn 1.
Let's see if we can take a look at what happened here. See Jimmy move to the inside. He makes some contact with a 65. Around he goes. We're hearing now from NASCAR that there will be no free pass. Jimmy Spencer will not get the free pass because they will deem that he contributed to the cause of the caution.
Now on that replay, you can see Jimmy Spencer's locking the brakes up because there is smoke coming out. He's trying to stop before he gets into the 65.
He tried to get stopped, but it looked like he might even have spun the rear, wheel hop the rear tires, which happens frequently when you hit the brakes real hard. But nonetheless, he made some contact with Regan Smith. It wasn't intentional, but NASCAR is not going to give him the free pass this time. But he still will be eligible in future caution flags.
So Regan Smith comes back out after bringing out our 3rd caution in Mansfield. We haven't made it to lap 30 yet.
Bit of a gap behind Ricky Craven. That's where the lap truck of Jimmy Spencer is in front of our third place truck of Rick Crawford.
Now, when you talk about patience and getting your lap back, this would be when Jimmy Spencer could get his lap back.
Absolutely. The caution comes out right now. He is the highest ranked non-lead lap truck. But the problem is right now he's holding up the rest of this field. And Rick Crawford is not going to be happy with the fact that Jimmy Spencer is holding him up. And we know how difficult it is to pass here. So Rick Crawford now has to show the patience and not try to move Jimmy Spencer out of the way.
Side-by-side racing for 4th and 5th. Ted Musgrave on the outside of Shane Meal. That's a race for 4th.
We've seen these trucks side by side, I think, since the green flag dropped. Great hard racing going here. Looks like Shane's going to be able to get by Ted.
David Starr trying to put the Spears Manufacturing 75 into the mix. He'll get on the inside of Ted Musgrave, trying to take away 5th position.
Musgrave made big-time contact, and wheel coming off of that Spears Chevrolet.
Ray, you're exactly right. The right rear tire is flat. They made a lot of contact. You see the right rear of the 75 truck getting into the one of Ted Musgrave. That's not the only contact they have. They have some subsequent contact to that, but unfortunately, the flat tire on the 75 is going to get him spun out here. You see him right there. Tire all the way down on the wheel of that truck.
And that's good news for Jimmy Spencer now, because that'll put him back on the lead lap.
Gets him back in contention for this race.
Probably make Rick Crawford pretty happy.
David Starr was able to get going before the leader came by, so he's still on the lead lap, but there are so many trucks on this racetrack. We saw that with Jimmy Spencer. It's so difficult to come in if you're at the tail end, make a pit stop, even for some minimal work, and get back out without losing a lap. We saw that happen to Jimmy Spencer. So David Starr, Dave McCarty's group, is going to have to really do some quick pit work to keep him from losing a lap on pit road.
Yeah, there's only about 100 yards from the last truck to the pace truck when they go around, so it's almost all the way around this little bull ring.
David Starr with a 7th place qualifying effort will now have to work to get back onto the lead lap, right?
Well, he's on his way down pit road here. They've got to put the right rear tire on that. They'll do right sides here. Can't tell, guys. Has he made pit road yet? I can't see.
He's coming to you, right?
Okay, so here he comes down here. Now the guys are all set to go to action. Of course, Ronnie Carrier does the fronts, and James Rowland's on the rear. George Landers is the jack man. Chris Hicks will put gas in here, but they have to make sure they get the right sides on and get him back out to pit road. They don't believe they'll have time to do 4, so they'll do rights only.
Good pit work right there. He will definitely not lose a lap. He may end up coming back in to get his left side tires.
That's the problem. That's what happened to Jimmy Spencer in the last stop. He came back in for his lefts, and he was at the tail end of the line, and there's just not enough time to do it and get out.
The AMA Superbike continues tonight live from Sonoma with race 2 with only 1 point separating the leaders. You can bet there's going to be some serious slicing and dicing on the track. Catch AMA Superbike race 2 live from Sonoma tonight at 6 p.m. on Speed Channel.
Hey, Peanut. Hey, Marty. You remember when David wrecked that truck at Nashville?
Welcome back to bumper short track racing from Mansfield, Ohio. Up in front, it's Ron Hornaday, followed by Ricky Craven. The 15 of Shane Meal, Rick Crawford, Johnny Benson, Ted Musgrave, Todd Bodine, Mike Skinner, David Rudeman, and rounding out the top 10 is Matt Crafton, RS88.
Shane Meal appears to have a pretty fast truck right now. He started 5th but lost a few spots at the beginning of the race, but he's made his way all the way up to the 3rd position. Got by from the 14 right there of Rick Crawford for that 3rd position.
Something else, I've been watching the veterans that started in the back, particularly Bobby Hamilton, and he's patiently working his way up to 16th now, and all his fenders are still on his truck.
He just made another pass for the 15th position, but really all the 3 guys we talked about at the beginning of the show, Bobby Hamilton, Dennis Setzer, and Jack Sprague, are all using a lot of patience right now. They're being shown 15th, Bobby Hamilton, 17th, Jack Sprague, and Dennis Setzer's back in the 21st position.
Robert Huffman looks like he may have got into the 10 of Terry Cook. Cook got a little sideways. You see the Spears Manufacturing 75 in front of Jimmy Spencer, riding along with Team ASC Dodge.
See Jimmy try to make the move on the bottom of the racetrack. You see he was at least up beside the 10 truck, so he can use a little bit more racetrack, move him up the hill a little bit so he's not down completely on the flat of the racetrack. Try to make it by Robert Huffman. You see we're looking for Robert Huffman's Toyota. Looks like Jimmy's going to be able to clear him. Pretty good move right there.
Yeah, he's been on a mission. I mean, he's been able to dive down, use the bottom, just kind of ease up in the middle and get position on him.
Going to spin turn 4, the 29 truck. Brad Kozlowski got turned around. There he is right there.
Caution 5 coming out in Mansfield.
Unfortunately, you saw the leader, Ron Hornaday, the 6 truck go by. Brad's not going to be able to turn his truck around quick enough to stay on the lead lap.
Alex Johnson, the 61, will receive the free pass from NASCAR. Ted Musgrave still trying to chase the 6 of Ron Hornaday, but drops back to 6th. The Truck Series would present the toughest NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series moments made possible by Craftsman, the official tools of NASCAR. Moment 20 first takes us to Pikes Peak International Raceway on May 21st, 2001, when Joe Ruttman, piloting the number 18 Dana Dodge, owned by Bobby Hamilton, took it to victory lane, becoming the oldest winner in a Truck Series event at the age of 56 years old. The second side of the story takes us to Kansas City, Kansas on July 7th, 2001, when a 21-year-old Ricky Hendrick, driving the number 17 GMAC Chevy truck, found the winner's circle and became the youngest driver in the series to win a race.
What a tremendous day that was. You saw Ricky hugging his father, Rick Hendrick. Unfortunately, we lost Ricky last September in that tragic plane crash, October actually, and we certainly, our prayers are with the family.
Flagman letting the drivers know that we're one lap away from going back to green flag racing. Ron Hornaday continues to lead. Ricky Craven has poked the nose of the 99 in front of the 6 just one time, but it's been a Ron Hornaday day at Mansfield. Shane Meal moving up to 3rd, 4th Rick Crawford, 5th Johnny Benson breaks into the top 5, and we're back to racing.
Shane Meal looks like he's going on the attack right away, right out of the box. It's going to be fun to watch soon.
He's already done some racing this weekend, too.
And he's making the bottom work.
Yeah, he really is. We haven't seen many trucks able to make that move work on the bottom.
He seems like he's got a lot of forward bite. He can always get up off the bottom without spinning the tires too much.
Some great side-by-side racing. You know, that's the 8 truck of Deborah Renshaw. She's currently being shown 1 lap down. Watch Matt Kraft in the 8-8 look underneath the 17 of David Ruderman.
That Thor Sport team inside of 50 miles from here, so close to this location in Ohio.
65 truck of Regan Smith. He's still being shown 2 laps down. Lost 1 on pit road, then lost 1 when he spun there after the contact from Jimmy Spencer.
Riding along with Jimmy Spencer. He's currently shown in the 23rd position. And again, we're just 65 laps into a 250-lap race. And so, as Jimmy mentioned, patience. We've seen a lack of patience so far.
And I think Jimmy's patience went out the window when he got behind. Now he's just got to go. And he's driving like Jimmy Spencer likes to drive, mixing it up with Jack Sprague and trying to get to the front.
Caught a glimpse of Jack Sprague, the 16th. There he is right there. He pitted on this most recent caution flag, so he's already up with Jimmy Spencer. Brendan Gaughan, the 77 truck, and he just pitted just a few minutes ago. What did the 16 do in the pits?
A little bit of strategy from crew chief Chris Walter. They took right side only on Jack Sprague's truck. They also went up on the track bar, down on air pressure.
Up in front, Ron Hornaday and Ricky Craven. It looked as though Craven was trying to get the nose in front of the 6.
It also looks like he's got a little damage on his tail, too. I didn't see where that came from. Ricky's truck.
See the right rear quarter panel bloused out a little bit. Got a big gaggle of trucks right there. There's a 04 Bobby Hamilton. Started way back in the 26th position, currently being shown in 13th. Used a lot of patience to get there.
And more importantly, he didn't use a lot of fenders. This truck still looks brand new.
We've seen that from Bobby Hamilton this year, where he would drop back, he'd wait, he'd kind of make sure that he was not involved in any problems that took place on the track, and then he drove his way up to the front.
And that's a whole lot easier to do on a big track than it is the short track like this at Mansfield. Wendy, what's going on with Bobby?
We talked about these veterans starting in the back of the pack, and now he's up to 13th. Bobby Hamilton, he thinks he can go up on air pressure because the truck is still a little tight in the middle and off. They're going to pull off tape, and they still plan on pitting around lap 90 to 100. So you can expect to see Bobby Hamilton to come in around 90 to 100.
Todd Cleaver in the Roush truck, he's getting pretty racy right now. He's using the bottom line. It's working for him.
There's a 66 right there underneath Ted Musgrave. He's made a pretty good move here. Ty Bodine started 11th. He's racing Ted Musgrave right now for the 6th position.
Ray, what's happening with Ted?
Hey, guys, his truck is just really, really loose. He's coming off turn 4 sideways about the last 5 laps in a row. Bodine's been running up there and getting a run on him. And you see as that group goes by, Ted just can't hang with him. He's way too loose off the corner.
You know, we talked to Ted right before qualifying just to yesterday, and he said they changed all 4 springs, sway bars. They just about changed everything on the truck because they were not happy with it. He had a great qualifying run, qualified third, but obviously his race setup right now is not what he needs it to be. So I look to see them pit very, very soon to make some adjustments because all he's doing is going backwards right now.
Veterans side by side, the 07 of Butch Miller on the inside, Bobby Hamilton on the outside. Butch Miller with a win in this series.
He won the closest finish in the history of the series back in 1995 at Colorado National over Mike Skinner by 1/1000th of a second.
David Ruderman now, he really wants by Ted Musgrave, and he's getting into him a little bit, but I mean, they've been running side by side now, lap after lap, and talking to the guys in the pit before the race, they just said you couldn't do that. You need to be single file.
Bobby Hamilton's in a great deal of traffic right now. You see the 29, made maybe a little contact with Brad Keselowski, was able to get on the inside of him. See, Bobby is able to get by the 29 of Brad Keselowski.
Ron Hornaday was just in heavy, heavy traffic, 3 wide.
Oh, and problems in turn 2. Kelly Sutton gets spun around in the 0-2. That's going to bring out our 6th caution of the day as the number 6 of Ron Hornaday slows down. Boris, you were just talking about the traffic taking place in 1 and 2, and then Kelly Sutton gets spun around.
Yeah, I have a hard time doing this TV stuff. I've never done it before. I'm in such a good spot. I just keep watching the race out the window, and I saw Ron in heavy traffic, and he went down to the bottom in turn 1, made it 3 wide, and it just didn't quite work. But it's unbelievable racing.
It's so difficult to pass at this racetrack when you have a truck that maybe not running up to par like Kelly Sutton being lapped. There's really hardly any place for her to go because the guys are racing so hard beside her and around her, and it just really creates a traffic jam.
Yeah, I mean, she was racing side by side, so, you know, there's 2 things going on. I mean, Ron Hornaday catches up to these slow cars, and he wants by slow trucks, I forgot. And, you know, he knows that he's got, you know, a hungry pack behind him, and he just wants to get by, and it was frustrating.
Let's see if we can take a look at what happened here. You see Kelly just spun out all on her own there. That was, looks like Robert Huffman right behind her. She just drove in the corner, got a little loose end, lost control in the center of the corner. Here comes the leader, Ron Hornaday, on pit road.
Ron Hornaday brings Ricky Craven and Johnny Benson with him. Shane Meal will stay out on the track, take over the top spot.
I wonder if they're using a kind of a similar approach like we use when we're road racing the Cup cars. I mean, right now it seems like if they pit now, they could go all the way.
Exactly. That's what Jack Sprague did to win this race last year with 1 pit stop.
And we always use that. As soon as our window opens up, we go the rest of the way. We pit.
Right.
Well, Boris is exactly right. They can do this on 1 stop, so you'll notice there are sticker tires going on there. Now, Hornaday had said, why don't we do a track bar adjustment? We'll go down a little bit to tighten this thing up, just a tiny bit. And Wally Rogers' crew chief said, no, we'll do it with air pressure in the right rear. Go down just a tiny bit. They will get 4 tires right here. Hornaday's done it away. Now, the 99 of Ricky Craven will also go out right behind him with 4 fresh tires. A couple other guys coming down pit road at the same time include Bobby Hamilton and also the 46 of Dennis Setzer, the 62 of Park, and we also saw Ted Musgrave down here too. Now a big chassis adjustment for Musgrave because he was very, very loose coming off the corner, so they worked on that an extra long time. I would assume they probably put in a spring rubber is why his pit stop was a little longer. But you're right, Boris, this may be the one and only pit stop for Hornaday. Wendy?
Just want to update you on why Shane Meal did not pit. Their strategy is to make this race 1 stop. They plan on pitting after lap 120. Then you'll see Shane Meal come down pit road. Now they had a set of tires that are scuffs with 2 laps on them and a set of stickers. Shane Meal has called for the scuffs. So we'll see what they're going to put on after lap 20 when they do come down pit road and if this strategy plays out for Shane Meal.
81 laps complete, and they're looking to make it to 120, so almost 40 laps that they're going to have to continue on these tires in front of trucks that have fresh tires on it. We're hearing that the 99 may have a problem with their pit stop, so he's going to come back down on pit road, right?
Well, absolutely right. And apparently there is some lug nuts loose here. Mike Beam talking it over with Ricky right now, trying to decide what to do. So they said, well, we can't take that chance. It's too early in the race, so the Super Chips Ford comes back down pit road here. As we said, these guys taking a lot of work. Now, there is some damage on the right rear of this truck also. So they are going to work on the left front. They will go ahead and stick one more lug nut back on there, get him tightened back up, and back to the racetrack. But he's going to lose a lot of track position. They had come in here right with Hornaday. Big mistake for the 99.
And what that might do is might change his pit strategy. Had they planned on making this on one pit stop, he lost so much track position. He may now, since he doesn't be fighting for the lead here anytime soon, he may decide to make this 2 pit stop race because of what happened just now.
Pit stop strategy may play into how this one finishes up. It did a year ago because Jack Sprague only stopped once. Let's take a closer look at the Premier Division of NASCAR in our Nextel Cup update. Here are the points after last night's race in Richmond. Jimmy Johnson holding on to the top spot. Greg Biffle trying to close the gap.
Jimmy had a giant lead going into that race, had some trouble, made some contact with the wall. Greg Biffle closed it within 41 points now. Great run by Casey Kane to get his first career win.
We'll be running with the Nextel Cup next weekend. We'll be at Lowe's Motor Speedway Friday at 8:30 p.m. live on Speed Channel. The All-Star race follows us on Saturday. Be sure to join us Lowe's Motor Speedway Friday at 8:30 p.m. on Speed.
Hey, happy 2nd of July. Happy July 2nd.
Welcome back to the UAW-GM Ohio 250 in Mansfield, Ohio. Shane Neal out in front of the pack now. He stayed out when our leader Ron Hornaday decided to come in, and he brought a few other trucks with him onto pit road.
There's Ron Hornaday. He made such a great move, Boris. You were watching him on the restart here. You're not supposed to be able to run on the bottom of the racetrack, but what everyone told me is if you're going to do it, you better have fresh tires to do it.
And he sure took advantage of those fresh tires on the bottom. I mean, it looked like he passed 4 or 5 trucks since we've been watching him. Amazing.
Watch him. He's in no man's land down there. He's right against the inside wall. We haven't seen a truck run there any time since we've been here.
That was moments ago. Ron Hornaday making those passes. He started 12th on our restart, and now Ron Hornaday has made his way up to 10th.
We documented there's Ricky Craven, the 99 Super Chips Ford. You see a little bit of a damage on the right rear. Remember his pit stop, he had to come in for a penalty. Watch his front tire changer. You see him waving for him to try to stop. If he would have done that, he could have put his lug nut on, probably gained some of the track position that he lost. But unfortunately, he had to come back in. Johnny Benson, one of our early front runners, is in the pits right now.
And this could be deadly for Johnny Benson's chances coming in under green. Change the tires.
We've had enough caution flags. We know there are going to be enough caution flags that these drivers are not going to have to make any green flag pit stops. It doesn't look like so. Johnny undoubtedly had a flat tire, and he's going to probably find himself as many as 3 laps down when he gets done with his pit work.
It's unusual too because they changed all 4, which is must have had some kind of vibration that didn't know what it was or something.
Shane Neal out in front. Rick Crawford holding on to 2nd. Mike Skinner 3rd. 4th is David Rudiman, and moving up to 5th, Tracy Hines in that number 13.
Yeah, no surprise to see Tracy Hines run well at this racetrack. 1 year ago, his best career finish in a Craftsman truck, a 5th, a top 5 here, which is really a great place. They did a lot of testing at this racetrack because it's only 40, 50 miles from their shop. Now, they can't do that now. All the tests count against them now because this racetrack is on the circuit. But prior to last year, the caution flag is out right now to the aid of Deborah Renshaw's against the wall. But this racetrack wasn't on the circuit in 2003, so they did a lot of testing here, and it really paid off for them last year with the top 5 run.
Limping around the top of the track, the aid of Deborah Renshaw, the right front towed out. Must have made some contact with the wall.
We have completed 107 laps right now. It'll be interesting to see if Shane Neal decides that this is long enough. Richie Waters, his crew chief, said, have we gone far enough now? We're close to our 120 lap goal. Where are we going to come in now?
Pit strategy playing into this one again in 2005. 7 cautions have come out. Coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series UAW-GM 250 on Speed Channel is brought to you by Chevy. The new Chevrolets, an American revolution. And by new Mobil 1 Extended Performance, official motor oil of NASCAR. Ted Musgrave coming onto pit road because of extensive damage to the front of that truck.
He made some contact with Deborah Renshaw. Let's see if we can take a look at what happened. Look at the
the top of your screen. You see the contact. We don't know if he got into her to start her spinning or whether she's turned around in front of him, but he made some pretty hard contact. Take another look. There you see the contact. That looked like Steve Park right behind Ted, and he had nowhere to go. But there's the damage. He's been out pit road once already to try to repair some of this damage.
Well, it's amazing what a difference 2 weeks makes. You know, in St. Louis, he couldn't do wrong. He led every lap, won the pole, wins the race, and now he's in all kinds of trouble today.
Ray, he's back in. What's going on there?
Well, Gene Neat has told him we've got to get that right fender repaired there because that's what he's going to be able to use to try to put some people back out of the way here. So they continue to work on the right sides. They did change tires the last time he was down here, making sure they've got the fender pulled out real nice for him, and the one will go back out. Now, some very interesting pit strategy down here. The number 14 of Rick Crawford definitely wanted to pit that time, and his crew chief Cowboy Starlin said, let's come to pit. He said, okay, do it this time, pit. And he said, oh, I thought you wanted me to do what the 15 did. The 15 stayed out, so Crawford has not come to pit road here. Lots of guys kind of changing up their strategy in mid-game here based on what else is going on the racetrack.
Rick Crawford letting Shane Meal dictate his pit strategy. We'll be back to see how it ends up in Mansfield.
It's every do-it-yourselfer or mechanic's dream to have a great big Craftsman professional toolbox like this one. But let's face it, that's not always practical. And that's why I like this unit right here. It's Craftsman's largest movable toolbox. It's 48 inches wide, and inside there's over 1,200 cubic inches of storage. Now, this top drawer has ball bearings, and it rolls in and out easily. The more weight you put in here, the better it rolls. It's got a nice hard surface top right here, so you can do all kinds of different work. And what I like is, underneath, there's a little secret storage spot for you to put those extra tools that you need all the time. Now, this drawer right here is one of my favorites because this is where I keep my lunch and my afternoon snack. And because this toolbox is movable, I can go outside and enjoy my meal.
Welcome back to Mansfield side-by-side racing. Jack Sprague trying to get by Todd Cleaver.
They've been side-by-side with Dennis Setzer for the last several laps. They're two short-track aces, first and second in this race last year. See all the damage to the right side of the truck of Jack Sprague. It's hard to run this race without getting a lot of body damage both sides. Both have great trucks. They're trying to use a lot of patience as you see Jack on the inside of Robert Huff with the 12 truck. Robert's currently being shown one lap down right now.
And Dennis Setzer's not far behind him. He's just been following Jack all the way up through the field since the start of the race.
Bumper cam of Jack Sprague riding along at ground level, almost 100 miles an hour, the average speed around this half-mile track.
That's a 66 Toyota right there, top 09, right in front of Jack. He was a top 5 runner early on in this race. Wendy, what's going on with Jack Sprague?
Jack Sprague came in at lap 58 and took right sides only. Well, on lap 82, that caution, they came back in and took left side tires. They had a little bit of problem on the left front tire, though, where a lug nut fell off, so they lost a couple more spots under that caution. But now Jack Sprague has all 4 tires.
Remember, Jack Sprague won this race last year with only 1 pit stop. He's got his 4 tires. He may be on a strategy to stay out the rest of the way.
Well, that's a long way to go on a set of tires, though, 165 laps. I like new tires personally.
But how many of these laps are going to be under caution, though, Boris? That's the thing. It's green flag laps that really matter on these tires.
That's a good point, too. And if you look at Shane Meal, I mean, those tires haven't slowed him down. He still looks as fast as he was at the start.
Bill Boris, this race just going past the halfway point. So if weather would come into play again, this is an official race. And now Ron Hornaday in the 6, just on the inside of the 04 Bobby Hamilton.
We saw Ron make some great moves on the 2 restarts ago. We're hearing that they made some contact with Bobby Hamilton and Ron Hornaday. They're battling right now inside the top 10. That's 7th and 8th position. Ron Hornaday in 7th, Bobby Hamilton in 8th.
And Ron is the first guy on the track that can go all the way to the end without stopping again. So technically he almost could be leading if all these other guys have to stop for fuel and tires.
Yeah, we know Shane Meal and Rick Crawford are not going to be able to go the rest of the way. The 3rd place truck right now is David Starr, and David pitted back on lap 41. I don't think that David will be able to go the rest of the way. So as you mentioned, Ron Hornaday is looking pretty good right now if he wants to go the rest of the way.
Yep, and if anyone can drive on old tires and in loose conditions, it's Ron Hornaday, that's for sure.
So we heard that the 6 and the 04 of Bobby Hamilton made a little bit of contact. Let's see if we can take a look at what happened. You see the 6 on the bottom of the racetrack, Bobby Hamilton on the outside. Ron, they made a little bit of contact and a little more contact right there. Ron got a little bit loose, it looked like, off the corner, had to jump out of the throttle, and Bobby gave him a little shot.
Yeah, he just wanted to let him know he was there, saying hello.
There's a lot of saying hello going on in this race.
Yeah, they know each other really well by now, it looks like.
The top 5 has Shane Meal, Rick Crawford, David Starr, Mr. Excitement, Jimmy Spencer in 4th, and Brandon Witt in the 38 and 5th, looking for a very good finish. Brandon Witt has had good runs, but hasn't had that great finish yet in this series.
There's a Power Stroke Diesel, number 10 of Terry Cook. He finished 3rd in this race last year. He had an awfully good truck. He used to drive for the ThorSport team that was headquartered about 40 miles from there, so he's got a lot of time on this racetrack too, years ago.
Ray, what's going on with Terry?
Well, I am going to tell you about the 10, guys, because he has pitted 2 times already on lap 41 and 57, and both times he raised the track bar to try to loosen him up. He said he was so tight in the center of the corner, he could barely hold on to the truck. He said it was really wicked tight, but they have made it much better by raising the track bar, and Terry Cook says he's got a pretty good ride right now.
Got a great side-by-side battle for the 2nd position.
There's Ron Hornaday. He's all the way up to 5th place now. I mean, he just keeps making his way to the front.
Just got by the 38 of Brandon Witt. You see Bobby Hamilton 04 stalking Brandon Witt right now. He knows, hey, we've got over 100 laps to go in this race. There's no sense pushing the issue. Let me just take my time, pick him off when I can.
Ron Hornaday getting his 27th win this year in Atlanta. He has 2 championships in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series in 96 and 98. Shane Meal's lone win in the series came in Las Vegas a year ago. He's looking to add to that number, but he will have to stop at some point in time and relinquish that top spot.
He's been busy this weekend. He ran the Busch race at Richmond, finished 17th Friday night, then flew here early Saturday morning for practice and qualifying, and got a great run going.
And so Shane Meal continues to lead now. David Starr in 2nd, Rick Crawford 3rd. 4th is the 2 of Jimmy Spencer. Rounding out the top 5 is Ron Hornaday.
Welcome back to the UAW-GM Ohio 250. As you see, our leader Shane Meal is in for 4 tires. They decided to go with stickers on this truck. No adjustments on Shane Meal's truck as they are down and away. Let's check in with Ray.
Rick Crawford is in. Bobby Clark does the front tires. Tim Sanders is on the rear. They told Gator Morris, make sure you get lots of gas in that thing. We're going to the end here. They pull a tear off on the front. We will see the 14 circle bar go away, but oh, he almost made contact with Terry Cook. Lots of other trucks down here. We saw Setzer is in. The number 2 truck of Jimmy Spencer also pitting, and they continue to try to repair the damage on the 1 for Ted Musgrave.
Jimmy Spencer coming off the pit road now. A couple of the trucks having to avoid a stray tire that got away. It looked like it came out of the 75. Or no, the Team ASC.
Yeah, it looks like the Team. We can take a look at how that tire got away. See, they're on the left side.
Oh, it was in front of David Starr.
It rolled right in front of David Starr's truck, and he pushed it out of the way. See the 15 of Shane Meal dodging that tire. Now NASCAR will have to rule how that tire came, but you see it rolled, it bounced off pit wall there. That was probably the right rear tire. David Starr hit it. That could necessitate a penalty for Jimmy Spencer. We're hearing there will be no penalty because David Starr actually knocked it out of the way.
And the reason we're under caution is because just as we were going to break, a problem took place between Kelly Sutton and the 59 of Robert Presley getting spun around in 1 and 2.
Some good hard racing. You see the 99 of Ricky Craven and the 17 of David Ruderman made some contact to start this. It just bunched the entire field up. And then Robert Presley, the 59, and Kelly Sutton, the 02, got the worst of it.
Yeah, it's just like on the highway. It's like an accordion effect. Those first few guys slow down a little bit. No one really catches it. You just start plowing into each other.
Tracy Hines, the 13 truck, got a piece of that, it looked like.
On the highway, Boris, I normally stop. I don't just plow into people.
Well, I'm, usually looking at girls or looking down. So I usually plow into them.
Ray, what's happening with Ricky?
Well, guys, I just wanted to update you. As I've been watching the times here, Ricky Craven was flying through the field. And part of the reason is he pitted on lap 109 for 4 tires and also a wedge adjustment. Now, the last time that Hornaday was down here was lap 80. So, okay, 29 laps difference. Can that make a big difference? Well, apparently it has, because Ricky was really clicking through the field. He had come from like 29th all the way up to 18th there before that caution came out. So I'm just wondering if that little bit extra time on those tires was an advantage. Of course, now Crawford and all the guys that were just in will have even fresher tires. But Hornaday is hung out there with old tires because he last pitted on lap 80.
Tonight on Speed Channel, FIA World Rally's best drivers will go head-to-head on the roughest and toughest course yet. From the twisting and treacherous mountain roads to the picturesque Mediterranean Sea. So sit tight and hang on. World Rally Championship. Cyprus is tonight at 11 p.m. only on Speed Channel.
So look at Jack Sprague. We're looking out at his onboard. Back towards it looks like the 65 of Regan Smith. Of course, we talk about this racetrack being a half-mile in length. Now, you raced last weekend in Germany, and how long was that racetrack?
15.5 miles with 186 turns. It's quite a bit different. You can't see the whole track like this, but unbelievable event in Germany, 24 hours of Nürburgring, and pretty proud moment in my racing career because I became the first American to ever win the 24 hours of Nürburgring, and it was an awesome accomplishment.
That is a tremendous accomplishment. A 15.5-mile lap.
Yeah, 15.5 miles. And during the race, it rained, it snowed, and it even hailed. So the weather conditions were unbelievable. It wasn't like sunny California.
Of course, you came from a road racing background, and you did a lot of truck racing back a few years ago. Now you're doing some cup racing. What has been the hardest transition? This type of racetrack, a short track like Mansfield, or going to a higher speed Speedway? Which has been the toughest for you?
Yeah, they're both tough. Probably the short tracks, because basically, I mean, you got to get used to something that's a lot heavier than what I was used to. But the biggest difference is just the level of competition. You know, in road racing, we're always racing against 5 or 6 people. But in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series or the Nextel Cup Series, there's 15 to 35 people you're racing against, and just the competition level is unbelievable.
Ron Hornaday getting ready to restart this one. Out in front of Brandon Witt, Bobby Hamilton, Jack Sprague. Those are names that we weren't expecting here up front this early, but they're up there now. Green flag flies, and we're back to racing.
Earlier in the race, I would have thought Ron Hornaday made the wrong decision having to run 170 laps on those tires, but after watching how fast Shane Beal was with 145 laps on his tires, I mean, right now I think he's in the driver's seat. I think Ron Hornaday is going to be the tough to beat.
Yeah, as you mentioned earlier, most of the crew chiefs in the garage area said, hey, with 80 or 90 laps on these tires, they're done, but we're not going to probably get 150 laps of green flag racing or thereabouts on these tires. So the guys that pitted on lap 70 or 80 know they probably only have to have maybe 90 to 100 green flag laps on these tires, and they think they're going to hold up.
Exactly. And just watching Shane Beal's truck right at the end of that run, it still looked really good.
Side-by-side racing. Robert Huffman on the inside of Steve Hart. Smoke flying a little bit there.
Steve's being shown right now in the 6th position, so he's got a great run going. Robert Huffman is 1 lap down in the 27th position. There's Butch Miller, the 07 truck on the outside. He's in the top 10 in the 8th position. What a good run for Butch Miller.
Inside of 100 laps remaining.
You also got to give a call to Bobby. I mean, he's been like under the radar like a stealth plane. He's up to 3rd now in that 04 truck.
I've never seen anybody race as smart as Bobby Hamilton has this year. Daytona, we never saw him for until the end of the race, and he led the very last lap. He led 1 lap of the race, the last one, and won the race. Same thing at California and Atlanta. He ended up finishing 2nd, I think, in California, 3rd in Atlanta, and we never saw him till the very end of the race. When it was time to go, he went.
Yeah, I think because probably now that he's a team owner, he knows when the pay window is going to open, and that's when he really starts driving. Smart guy.
They don't pay anybody for what happens 1/3 of the way through the race.
Just that 1 lap he led at Daytona was the right one.
Brandon Witt currently in 2nd position. Now, he started in 15th. His career best finish is 12th in Martinsville a year ago. So he's looking to improve on that. He switched over to Toyota this year, and I think they've been very pleased with the performance that Brandon Witt has done this year.
Yep.
Ray?
Well, they were very worried about the engine temperature in that number because it was shooting out water all over the place. It was very, very hot.
Ray, you're exactly right. That was back on lap 57 when Brandon Witt was in the pits, and it was shooting out steam, but he's run 100 laps now and run very, very well. So hopefully it looks like that engine may last, although he has lost second position to Bobby Hamilton, the 04.
Caution flag flies again. This is number 9 at Mansfield. Again, 13 flew a year ago.
We're hearing there's some debris up there in the corner. We're hearing that came from Ricky Craven's truck, the 99 Super Chips truck.
And he was on a mission. He was all the way up to 9th place, so he's been charging in the front.
Remember, he had a pit road penalty. He had to come back. It actually wasn't a penalty. They realized they didn't get all the lug nuts on. He came back in, put the lug nuts on the left front, and now he's steadily worked his way back towards the front of this field.
That was a track position penalty.
Exactly.
Fantasy Cup All-Star One Race Challenge. Play the official fantasy games of Speed Channel for your shot at winning $10,000. Starting May 21st at Fantasy Cup All-Star One Race Challenge. Sign up, select 8 drivers, score points, and win one of 300 prizes, including a $10,000 grand prize. Log on to speedtv.com now for official rules and play Fantasy Cup All-Star One Race Challenge. Next Sunday, Champ Cars return to Speed Channel. Bridgestone presents the Champ Car World Series powered by Ford. The Grand Prix of Monterey takes the series south of the border for the second race of the year. The Grand Prix of Monterey next Sunday, 11 p.m. Eastern, only on Speed Channel. 25,000 crowd, 25,000 people on hand to watch this race. They're on the berms in turns 3 and 4. Makeshift grandstands that took place in turn 1 and 2 because of the problem. Ray?
Well, guys, you got to keep in mind here that Ron Hornaday just a few weeks ago had an emergency appendectomy, and I asked him, I said, are y'all better for that? He said, yeah. He said, when I got done with that race the other day, it felt like I'd been in a prize fight, but he said, I'm top notch right now, ready to go. Remember, he's the all-time leader with 15 career short track wins. Wendy?
Bobby Hamilton has been in on lap 79 and will not be coming in another time. So that was a one-stop strategy for Bobby Hamilton and crew. He feels his truck has been good enough all day. The only change they made was pulling some tape on that pit stop, right?
The 38 of Brandon Witt, that is a Toyota, but realize this is the first group of Toyotas that wasn't built originally as a Toyota. He was a Ford team a year ago, but they took their old Ford trucks and converted them to Toyotas. Every other Toyota that's in the field here is an originally built Toyota, but Brandon Witt moved over. It's chassis 04 from Clean Line Racing. Wendy?
When I asked crew chief Chris Showalter at the beginning of the race if they were going to make this a one-stop or two-stop race for Jack Sprague, he said, I don't know, we'll see. Well, he made 2 stops. First he took right sides on lap 58, and then he took left sides on lap 82. So basically a one-stop strategy for Jack Sprague, right?
Well, I talked with John Monson before the race, and he is the crew chief for Todd Cleaver in that number 50. He said, we're going with the same strategy as we used a year ago. Pit as early as possible and stay out as long as we can. John Wood finished 8th here at this race a year ago. Right now, Todd Cleaver with a real good run. Remember, Steve Park got 1 win earlier this year at California. Today, he's driving chassis T12, and he has had a real handful in the first 100 laps of this race, but they continue to tune on it, and he says it is getting much, much better. Now, the 08, imagine this, what a great run it is for Rich Bickle. Bickle here with the VFW on the hood there, the Hidden Heroes Fund. It has been 30 races since he last won at Martinsville, but guess what? That was back in 1997. Bickle in chassis number 1095 here. A great run for one of the masters of the short track. Wendy?
That is Butch Miller in the 07 truck today. He'll be running 2 races with us in the truck series, today at Mansfield and next week at Charlotte. He has raced here at Mansfield before in ASA where he has a top 10. So he does have a little bit of experience here at Mansfield. I just talked to his crew chief, Doug Howe, and they said they will not be pitting again. Their truck's a little tight, but they're going to wait it out to the end of the race, right?
Well, Wendy, I told the story a little earlier that Ricky Craven's tires are fresher than Ron Hornaday's, 29 laps newer. Will that make a difference? I don't know. The guys in the booth might be able to tell us. But for the truck that is right behind them, Mike Skinner in the number 5, he wanted to come in and raise his track bar. Skinner, another one of those guys that's awfully good on the short tracks. He's won 12 times on on tracks smaller than a mile. Guys?
Randy Kaiser out in front of the field in the pace truck. Ron Hornaday trying to help him along a little bit down the backstretch.
Said you're going too slow, Randy. Pick up the pace.
The drivers have fun with the officials, obviously, in this series, and the officials are, I guess, enjoying the personalities that are a part of the truck series.
Ron is just cleaning his grill off there. He was using the back bumper of the pace truck to clean off the grill, get all the rubber and debris off the grill. Look how clean it is right now.
Very clean. Well, I believe it could be that clean because he's been leading over 100 laps of this race, and so he hasn't had to follow too many people.
And he's not happy unless he has a fender on somebody, whether it's a pace truck or another truck.
Get ready.
Randy Kaiser's taking the pace truck off of the track, and now it's Ron Hornaday throwing the accelerator to the floor, and we're back to racing.
Johnny Benson, the 23 trucks on the inside. Johnny, we saw him make that unscheduled pit stop. He's being shown 3 laps down. That means he will never be in position to get a free pass. So he's going to have to do it on his own. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like he's strong enough to get in front of those guys.
And right now, a battle for the top spot. That's Bobby Hamilton taking a look on the inside of Ron Hornaday. Hornaday shutting the door as they go down the backstretch. Will Hamilton try it again? He's going to stay nose to tail.
Bobby gets a good bite off the bottom of the racetrack. I'm not sure if it's going to be good enough to get by Hornaday. You see him stick his nose to the inside. Almost stays up to his quarter panel. Look at
problems on the front stretch.
No caution flag as of yet.
Tracy Hines got spun around in the 13, and now the caution will come out.
A lot of damage to Terry Cook, his Power Stroke diesel Ford. There's a big pile up in the front stretch. Really not that many trucks got a whole lot of damage, but Terry Cook looks like he got the worst of it. Tracy Hines also had some damage, it looked like.
Hines was slow across the start-finish line and was making somewhat of a bottleneck right across the start-finish line. Smoke coming out of the back of the number 10, Terry Cook. That Power Stroke diesel by International.
See if we can take a look and see what caused this accident. See, the 62 truck of Steve Park gets sideways. Then and also the 18 truck of Chase Montgomery slowed down. The 66 of Regan Smith, just 65, just turned left to avoid that. And then it just created a big jam up behind them. There's a little contact. That's Robert Huffman and Ricky Craven getting together. There's a lot of... The 5 of Mike Skinner made some contact with Robert Huffman. See, there's probably the most damage is Terry Cook. A lot of damage to the front end of that truck.
And it looks as though someone checked up in front of Terry Cook, and he was not able to slow down in time. And so you see the extensive damage to the front end of the number 10.
What you hope is that they didn't get the radiator. That's what the critical part is. Right behind that front grill where they're working is the radiator. If they didn't get the radiator, they ought to be able to make repairs, get that thing, the air inlet opened up enough to give them enough air to cool that thing off.
It's just too back, though. He's going to have to give all that track position back.
Mike Skinner looks as though he's coming back down on pit road. Has damage to the front of that truck. We saw him get into the back of Robert Huffman, it looked like.
Exactly right. He needs to make sure that that left front fender is not going to rub the tire. He's got some damage on the right front also.
Wendy?
I'm with Danny Rollins, crew chief of Bobby Hamilton. Danny, you've made it a one-stop race. Your truck, is it good enough to go to the end now?
Oh, I think it is. I like seeing these cautions right here. It kind of saves the tires for me right here. So the Technic Dodge is running real good today, and Bobby's doing an awesome job. So I mean, he's got something more today.
I'm sure he does. The truck has been a little tight, though, in the middle for Bobby Hamilton. Ray?
Well, I'm with Wally Rogers, Wendy, and I just wonder, you told me it was going to be a one-stop race, but did you think lap 80 is too early, or are you going to be okay?
I don't know. I'm not coming again, so, you know, it is what it is. You know, we got our GM Goodrich Silverado, Yardman Chevrolet's really good, and, you know, Hornaday's doing an awesome job. He's just so much fun to watch, man. It's awesome.
Pretty good time on the short track, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. I mean, anywhere we go, I mean, obviously we got the right guy driving the truck.
Okay, good luck to you. They pitted last on lap 80. We'll see how it works out here.
Phil, looks like you were right. Terry Cook, I seen him push the truck behind the garage now, and we're in the infield, and I saw a radiator get pulled out, so it looks like he did some radiator damage.
Yeah, too bad for Terry Cook. We talked to Danny Rollins, crew chief for Bobby Hamilton. Let's see if we can raise Bobby Hamilton on the radio. Bobby Hamilton, Phil Parsons, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you, Phil.
All right, Bobby, you're going to end up with about 170 laps on those tires. Obviously, they're not going to be all green flag laps. You got enough for Ron Hornaday?
Yeah, Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Ron's really good. He's good at these kind of places. Their trucks, Kevin and them got really good stuff. Our stuff's really good, but, you know, you get on the bottom here and you just don't have a lot of grip. We're not really pushing the envelope right now, but that truck putting oil down on the bottom didn't help. Now, it'll take a while to get that back, but I think we'll be okay. The main thing is to get out of here with some fenders on this thing. I'll be real happy.
It looked like you were able to stick your nose underneath Ron Hornaday and keep the distance that you gained through the corner down the straightaway. It looked like you maybe were trying to set him up just prior to that caution coming out. Is that where you're going to have to pass him on the bottom?
Well, I'm going to have to go where he ain't. He's not on the bottom, so, you know, that's basically the way racing is anymore. So, like I said, he's strong. I don't think he showed his hand. I know I hadn't showed mine yet. Just sort of testing the waters right now with the Technic Dodge, but just a good weekend. What about these fans? Are they enthusiastic or what? It's a cool place to be.
It sure is. They got a great crowd here, Bobby. How about the torch run that you did earlier?
Yeah, that's a pretty cool deal. It's a law enforcement torch run for Special Olympic kids and for great cause. And law enforcement, they raise about $20 million a year for this thing, so we're real proud to carry the torch on our end anyhow. So it's just a good weekend for Dodge and Technic, all the Special Olympic people, the Bailey's folks that's supported us all year. I don't know, we're just having a blast out here right now.
Yeah, we're looking at some video where you gave a little bit of money away this morning.
Yeah, actually, we didn't play a big part in that. We just helped give it away, but it's $5 grand for Technic, and they do that all through the year. So it's a pretty neat deal. They're giving me one to go. I'm gonna go back to work. If you feel like talking, holler back at me.
All right, Bobby, good luck.
Watching his truck just before that last caution, it sure seems like it turns right in the center where the other trucks aren't. It looked like he could cut right under Ron, but he wasn't really showing his hand yet, like he said.
And as he mentioned, it's so hard to get a bite of it. And his truck, Danny Rollins was telling me this morning that his truck was so good, we got a little bit of a conflict on who wants to line up on the inside here. You see the 18 of Chase Montgomery on the inside, the 59 trucks in the middle of Robert Presley. They need to get in line before they get to turn 3.
Well, obviously a problem that the pace truck is going to stay back out. They're not going to go green here as they're 3 wide. And the drivers are told if you have a question, you pull on the inside, NASCAR will make the call, and then you fall into line where you're supposed to be. And obviously someone didn't understand those commands.
It looks like Knoxville right now. I like it. I think they should start 3 wide from now on. It'd be more exciting.
One thing we know for sure is Ron Hornaday's leading this race, and he's supposed to be the first truck on the outside line, right?
Well, guys, the problem was Chase Montgomery was stuck on the high line, and he couldn't get down. He kept going up there and bumping Robert Presley to tell him to move so that he could get in line with him, and then that's why he was not able to dispute NASCAR's call of what truck was in what position, so they'll have to sort this out in the tower.
They're still 3 wide, Ray, and the pace truck has gone off of the track, and nobody is going to let Chase Montgomery in, and so obviously there's a problem. Now Robert Huffman drops back a little bit, and he will let Chase Montgomery in, and so it is sorted out. The green flag is in the hand of our starter, and we're back to racing. Ron Hornaday out in front.
Ron Hornaday is a restart king. I've never seen a guy get that good a restart every single time.
We usually see him passing trucks, you know, when he's not leading, but unfortunately this time he's leading, so he just got a great restart. Gained about 3 truck lengths on Bobby Hamilton. Bobby really drove it down in turn number 3 to get in front of the 23 of Johnny Benson.
And we are hearing that Ron Hornaday is going to be black flagged for jumping the restart. Now, if this happens, Ron Hornaday's chances of winning this race really go out the window.
Totally go out the window. He's going to give up all the track position that he's gained. He's got the lead right now. He wasn't going to pit anymore. If he gets black flag, we're seeing the flagman put the black flag in his hand. That is going to absolutely ruin his race. And here comes a black flag for Ron Hornaday right there.
That's terrible. I don't like to see that.
Ron Hornaday being shown the black flag.
NASCAR tells these drivers where to restart the race. He's obviously, there's Wally Rogers. You know he's not happy, but if he jumped the flag before they tell him he can, then NASCAR's done that before. Ron Hornaday lost the race at Watkins Glen one time because he was leading the race. They deemed that he jumped too soon, and he ended up not winning that race.
Ron Hornaday comes down pit road now. He will take his penalty.
He's got to be very, very careful, too, because if he speeds on pit road, then he's going to completely be out of contention to win this race.
Pit road speed is 30 miles an hour, right?
Well, they tell you in the driver's meeting that you should restart the vicinity of the double red line on the wall. And from my vantage point, it looked to me like Hornaday did just that. I don't know. We'll have to look at it again. But the double yellow line is, or double red line is on the wall right where the brake is in turn 4. Looked like a good restart to me.
Let's see if we can take a look at this restart. What happened to Ron Hornaday? You see, look at the outside wall there. You're going to see 2 red lines right before the gap. It looked like Ron Hornaday took off right there, but Bobby Hamilton was a little bit slow on the takeoff. Forrest, you talked about how good Ron Hornaday was on the restart. Was this restart so good that he ends up getting penalized for it?
I don't think the penalty fits the crime. I just don't think that's right, because it didn't really gain that much of an advantage on it.
See, Wally Rogers, they're obviously unhappy, completely taking Ron out of contention to win this race. As a matter of fact, now he's being shown 1 lap down just because of drive pass-through penalty on pit road. He has to go so slow while these trucks are on the racetrack at speed.
Bobby Hamilton now out in front because Ron Hornaday making his pass-through penalty. Brandon Witt running second. Todd Cleaver in third. A year ago, the top 5 was dominated by veterans, and now up in front in the top 5, we have 2 young guns in this field.
We've got a long way to go, too, Rick. We've got 60 laps to go. You see, Jack Sprague won this race last year. He's stalking those 2 rookies, or 2 young drivers in the 4th position. How about Rich Bickle being shown in the top 5 right now? What a great run for him. And Steve Parker, good short track run in 6th.
Side-by-side racing, short track racing, where the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series was born, continues at Mansfield, Ohio, the Mansfield Speedway. The development of Toyota in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series has been very exciting to watch. Let's take a closer look at this week's Toyota Spotlight. Brandon Witt with potentially a career finish, running in the 2nd position. Todd Bodine 16th. But Witt, a very, very strong performance in that number 38 Toyota.
Really proud of Brandon Witt. He's got a great one. He's staying right with our leader, Bobby Hamilton.
The 02 truck spun down the inside of turn 2, and now the yellow's out.
Yeah, that will be a big break for Ron Hornaday. He will get the free pass and get back on the lead lap. But again,
21st.
There are 21 trucks now, so he will actually restart this race 22nd. On the lead lap, but I'll tell you, with less than 50 laps to go, there's not going to be enough time for us.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, the whole thing's disappointing for Ron, because I think he got penalized because he is such a great restarter. It didn't look like he jumped the line to me, and it's just it's a shame for the whole Good Wrench guys.
How do you argue that? Can you argue that? Can you come back to NASCAR and say, why did you throw the black flag?
I think it's a ball and strike call. You know, I don't think you can argue that. You can argue that, but I don't think it's going to get you anywhere.
Let's take another look at this restart.
Remember, look at the outside wall here. Right at the end of the outside wall, that's where the double red lines are. And it looks like that's when he jumped. But he got such a good restart. And Bobby Hamilton looked like he was a little slow on the takeoff. And that maybe the difference there is what maybe caused NASCAR to say, hey, he jumped the restart.
Yep, and it's just like football. There's bad calls here and there, and that seemed like a bad call.
Well, the possibility exists that Ron Hornaday will have the opportunity to fight his way through the lead lap trucks. But again, as Phil, you mentioned, under 50 laps to go, maybe not enough time.
Yeah, let's see if we can get Ron on the radio here. And I'm sure he's not real happy. Ron Hornaday, Phil Parsons, can you hear me?
Now. Hey, when you get past it, you can go ahead and pass them. So.
You see,
Go. Well, I was just trying to tell him to go.
Let's let Ron, he needs to get his free pass or pass the entire field. Let's let him get caught up before we try to talk to him, because we don't want to, he's got to pass a lot of trucks right now, but to get in front of the pace truck. There he is. There he goes by the pace truck right now. Ron Hornaday, Phil Parsons up in the booth. Can you hear me, buddy?
Catch up, Hornaday. Catch up, then we can see it.
Ron's going to come in the pits. He's got nothing to lose. Let's see if he'll answer us. Ron Hornaday, Phil Parsons, can you hear me?
Well, I think it's a mistake. If he pits, it's going to be tough to put 2 tires on and get out there without losing another lap. We saw that earlier in the race with Jimmy Spencer. I think that's a big gamble.
He's going to try it. Mike Skinner, the 5 trucks, also coming in, but he's got a great pit crew. Wally Rogers and all his guys do a terrific job here. I think if anybody can get it done, they can.
That crew's up on the wall. Ray?
Well, they're going to do right sides and gas this time to make sure that they don't try to do 4 and take a chance at losing a lap again. Very important not to speed on pit road here. They can't afford another penalty, so they'll do rights only and gas, then make a decision if they have time to come back and get the left side. So right and fuel only this time. Here comes Hornaday with that good wrench Chevy. As I told you, Hornaday had won from the pole 6 times in his career, but he had never won the bonus because he wasn't racing with us since they created the bonus in 2000. They will put 2 rounds of wedge into the right side, and a problem with a gas can gets held in, and just as you think it couldn't get any worse, he will have to come back in and assess that penalty. He's already back to pit road.
Ray, it may even be worse than that, because I think if you make any mistakes when you're the recipient of the free pass, you end up not getting the free pass. They may even take the free pass away from him.
Well, the gas can dropped off back just to the entrance to pit road right now, so really disappointing for Ron Hornaday.
Yeah, he left his pit box with equipment, though, and that's the penalty. Even though it fell off, he's still going to have to serve a penalty.
They can't take the free pass away, though. He already took that, right? They can't Indian give that, can they?
So disappointment continuing for the good wrench Chevrolet of Ron Hornaday. That was not supposed to stay with him. We'll be back with more from Mansfield, Ohio. Welcome back to Mansfield, Ohio. You see on the screen, that is the double red line where the restart is supposed to take place. We're being told that this time by they are going to restart, so we'll see where Bobby Hamilton restarts.
Let's keep a good close eye on where Bobby Hamilton restarts this race.
Only to the right. Only going to pass the right. You know they're going to be watching. All right, get ready. Get ready. Get ready. Great.
Bobby may have waited a truck length or 2 longer, but he was in the vicinity of the double red line, which is what it appears that Ron Hornaday was in that same vicinity.
Bobby Hamilton's crew mentioning to him they're going to be watching. And so Bobby Hamilton waiting until the flags floated before he got into the accelerator. He stays out in front of the 38 of Brandon Witt, who's holding on to second. Third is the 16 of Jack Sprague, and fourth, moving up into the 4th position, of 15 of Shane Neal.
And Shane's got the freshest tires out of the bunch now, because remember, he just stopped not that many laps ago, so he's going to be in contention by the end of this.
Yeah, he's got about 60 laps less on his tires right now than the 04 Bobby Hamilton. But again, not all of those laps were under green flag conditions.
Listening to Shane Neal's radio communication on that caution, he thinks that the trucks in front of him, Bobby Hamilton, Brandon Witt, and Jack Sprague, all have to pit one more time. But the strategy of those top 3 trucks, that they are going all the way, as we covered earlier. So Shane Neal was banking on those trucks coming in again, but unfortunately for Shane Neal, they're not. He's going to have to work around them the hard way.
I hope Richie Waters' crew chief told him, no, Shane, you're going to have to pass them. They're going to stay out. They're done pitting.
Bobby Hamilton putting some distance between himself and Brandon Witt. Almost a second and a half now that Bobby Hamilton has put between himself and second position, and that's because the 59 of Robert Presley is in between Bobby Hamilton and Brandon Witt.
And Robert's being shown 6 laps down right now. He really needs to get out of the way and let Brandon Witt, Jack Sprague, Shane Neal, and all those guys go chase down Bobby Hamilton, because he's obviously out of contention for any kind of a good finish. He needs to get out of the way. And I'm sure NASCAR will probably be telling his crew chief to say, hey, tell him to move out of the way, let these leaders go.
Yeah, it looks like Brandon's starting to get frustrated right now. I mean, he looks faster right now than Robert.
There he is. Robert just moved up out of the way right there. That's a good class move right there to get out of the way of these leaders.
Jack Sprague taking advantage of that move high by Robert Presley to make the pass, get by the slower lap traffic.
Now Shane Neal's going to do the same thing. We've got a great battle right here for second between Brandon Witt, Jack Sprague, and Shane Neal. Running out of laps. There's only about 30 laps to go right here.
And Todd Cleaver in the 50 truck, he's not far behind either.
Our top 5 trying to stay as close to the front as possible. Bobby Hamilton out in front of Brandon Witt by almost 2 seconds now, and now a battle for second. Jack Sprague trying to get on the inside of that McMillan number 38 of Brandon Witt. He's not able to do it. Witt holding on to second.
That's a tough pass to make on the bottom of the racetrack. We've seen it all day long here. It's so hard to get a good bite on the bottom of the racetrack. If he could just get alongside enough to move Brandon up a little bit, then he would be able to make the pass. But he's not. It's going to be awfully hard for him to be able to do it straight from the bottom of the racetrack.
And with the laps winding down with 20, 27, 28 laps to go, the patients are going to start running out. Now they got to go. They don't need to save the tires anymore.
You see him, he pulled right up beside Brandon Witt, but he tried to get the throttle down. He jumped sideways. That's what the hard part is, getting that forward bite like he needs to.
Bobby Hamilton, our fourth different leader today. Ron Hornaday's led the most laps, 119. Shane Meals led 62. Bobby Hamilton trying to add to the 40 that he's led so far. David Starr and Ricky Craven also sticking their nose out front for one lap each.
He's up beside him right now. Maybe he can use a little bit more racetrack. You see him move up the hill. He's actually in the middle of the racetrack where he needs to be. Push Brandon out wide, and that's going to allow Shane Meal also to go by.
Now Brandon Witt having trouble getting back down into the groove of the track. So he's moving or losing a lot of positions by moving up high on the track.
Shane Meals on the inside of Jack Sprague. Jack went real wide that last corner and allowed Shane to get beside him. Caution flag is out.
Caution comes out again. That's the 12th caution. And smoke coming out of the 38. And so it looks as though he cut a tire on the right front.
It looks like it. It made contact with the outside wall. What a horrible break for Brandon Witt. A terrific job going. I'm not sure his tire wasn't going down, which is what allowed Jack Sprague to get up beside him. What a horrible break for Brandon Witt. What a good performance, though.
Now I want to take us back a year to Gateway a year ago. There was a battle between two drivers. The 04, it was actually the 4 then of Bobby Hamilton and the 15 of Shane Meal. And now it's Bobby Hamilton and Shane Meal 1 and 2 with about 20 laps to go in this race.
It will be interesting.
It will be interesting because both of those got into each other, and it may continue in Mansfield. We'll see when we come back with more. Coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series UAW-GM 250 on Speed Channel is brought to you by Chevy. The new Chevrolets, an American revolution. By Craftsman, celebrating 10 years tough of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. And by new Mobil 1 Extended Performance, official motor oil of NASCAR. Shane Meal will be shown in third position for the restart. Jack Sprague gets the second spot back, but Shane Meal looks like he's the man on the move. Wendy?
This is a very special weekend for Shane Meal. This is the anniversary, the 5-year anniversary of the loss of his best friend, Adam Petty. Today is also Shane Meal's 25th birthday. He told me before the race he would love nothing more than to get a victory today and commemorate his win to his best friend, Adam Petty.
A lot riding with Shane Meal in these final 20 laps. Meal just 25 years old today, so relatively young in the world of NASCAR.
Youth versus experience. But Shane Meal also has a lot fresher tires, so I would bet on him right now.
He's got about 62 less laps on his tires than does the 04 of Bobby Hamilton and the 16 of Jack Sprague. Again, not all of those green flag laps, and that's what really makes a difference, but he definitely has fresher tires.
Shane Meal started this race in 5th position. Now the two drivers in front of him started quite a bit further back. The 04 of Bobby Hamilton started 26th, and the 16 of Jack Sprague started 25.
What a horrible break for Brandon Witt here. What a great run he had going. And undoubtedly probably cut that right front tire down, made some contact with the outside wall, and going to necessitate some repairs behind the pit wall.
And we talked about this before with Brandon Witt. He has run very competitively all year, but bad luck has relegated him back further than what his truck really showed during the races.
What a horrible break. But I think it made a good move here, making the switch to Toyota. What a great run by Butch Miller. He's being shown in the top 10. His teammate Rich Bickle in the top 5. What a great effort for Gene Christensen and Ken Weaver's teams here.
Rich Bickle in the 08 being shown in 5th position. It's where where he will restart. Just behind the 50 of Todd Cleaver.
Great run for Todd Cleaver. Again, rookie this year. Won Roush's competition, the Race for the Ride. But it's very, very impressive with a top 5 run earlier this year in California. Looking for another top 5.
Jack Roush can spot talent. Jack Roush currently sitting on top of Todd Cleaver's pit box right now, watching that young talent. Obviously, Jack Roush taking advantage of the opportunity to get a Carl Edwards, who was his truck driver for a couple of years in the Craftsman Truck Series, and now really having a lot of success in the Busch and the Cup Series. A green flag flies. We're restarting on lap 233. 18 laps of racing to go. Bobby Hamilton in front of Jack Sprague, Shane Meal, Todd Cleaver, and Rich Bickle.
Remember, Shane Meal would love to get by Jack Sprague quickly so he can work on Bobby Hamilton, but that's not going to be an easy task. Jack Sprague knows how to drive this racetrack. He won this race last year.
Top 3 not separating from each other. Jack Sprague being able to stay right on the bumper of Bobby Hamilton. Shane Meal looking to the inside of Jack Sprague. So 1, 2, and 3 right across the start-finish line.
Of course, we talk about how much fewer laps Shane Meal has on his tires, but remember how well he ran before he ever changed tires. He was running some extremely fast laps with over 100 laps on his tires.
Yeah, now that he has to go to the bottom to try to pass, you can see he'd probably give anything for a little bit of forward bite. He keeps coming off the turns just a little bit sideways.
46 and 75 fighting for 6th position.
Great save by Dennis Setzer. He got into the 75 of David Starr, got completely sideways, saved it, allowed the 14 truck of Rick Crawford to get by. That's a battle for 6th, 7th, and 8th right there.
Great battles going on all over the track as the laps begin to wind down. Only 14 laps to go. Shane Meal trying to get by Jack Sprague, and Bobby Hamilton looking for another win in the 2005 season.
Rick Crawford looks to the inside of David Starr, not quite able to get up beside him. Now's the time to say, hey, if I haven't used my bumper yet, now's the time I'm going to have to use it. You see Rick Crawford drive to the inside of David Starr. He got completely beside him, moves up the racetrack and uses it. Now Dennis Setzer going to try the 75 once again.
Rick Crawford takes over 6th from David Starr. Starr drops back to 7th. And now Dennis Setzer trying to use the chrome horn, you would say, to move by the 75 of David Starr.
It looks like David Starr really seizes him up going in the corner. It looks like he's so careful getting in the corner that he's really checking up, losing a lot of speed. You see Dennis Setzer all over the tailgate of David Starr going in the corner.
This is a battle for position in the top 10. 7th place, David Starr holds it. Dennis Setzer trying to take it away.
I mean, David's really doing a good job getting off the corner, though. He's just being very cautious in and allowing him to be under attack all the time.
We're inside 10 laps to go. There's Jimmy Spencer, teammate to Ted Musgrave on the inside. They're battling for the 12th position right now.
Side by side, Ultra Motorsports. Ted Musgrave leading the points coming into this race. We'll see if that changes. Bobby Hamilton out in front of this field.
Dennis Setzer was able to make the pass on David Starr. He takes over the 7th position.
And he brought the 99 truck with him.
There's Ron Hornaday. What a horrible break, being black flag for jumping the restart as the leader. And here he is battling, not even inside the top 10. He's going to pass Ted Musgrave right there. That's currently being shown in the 13th position. What a horrible break. We got a spin off turn number 4.
Problems with Chase Montgomery in the 18. He comes to a stop.
The 13 ran right in the side of him.
Tracy Hines getting into the side of him, and that makes it caution number 13. Unlucky 13. That's how many we had a year ago here.
For the number 13 truck. He had nowhere to go that time, and it looks like he got his radiator on that one.
What a tough break for Tracy Hines. Remember, we're being shown 6 laps to go, but this race will not end under caution. We will get at least one attempt at a green-white checker, so no matter how long it takes to clean this mess up, we will see the green flag once again.
Fluid being laid down on the track in turn number 4, and so they'll have to bring out some drying agent to try to get the track cleaned off.
Yeah, that fluid's all the way from turn 4 all the way down through turn 1 and 2 now.
Todd Cleaver, the World Financial Group number 50, being shown in 4th position, right?
Well, there is a lot of discussion down here in the 50 pits about what to do. Of course, you don't want to give up track position when you're running in fourth, but the problem is he last pitted on lap 80, so they're very, very close on fuel here. Not sure if they're going to be able to make it. They're okay if we go racing right away, but if we get another caution before this race is over with a green-white checkered, they will run out of gas. Wendy?
Very often do you hear a driver come over the radio and say he just doesn't have what it takes to win the race. Well, that just happened to Shane Meal. He feels this set of tires, the set of stickers they put on, is a little bit too free for his truck, and he's not sure if it was the cloud cover, the set of tires, but he's too loose, he feels, to get by the 16 of Jack Sprague. He did come over the radio and said, you know what, guys, I'll take a third place if that's all I can get.
See, Todd Cleaver's not the only fellow that would have fuel woes, because Bobby Hamilton pitted the same exact lap as Todd Cleaver back on lap number 80, along with the 16 truck of Jack Sprague. We know Shane Meal's okay on fuel because he pitted 62 laps later than they did. But Bobby Hamilton, Jack Sprague, and Todd Cleaver, 3 of the top 4, all pitted on lap 80.
And that's really going to come into play because as of yet, they have not put any drying agent down on that fluid that's in turn 4. And so it's going to take a little while to get this track cleaned up.
See, the truck is now getting there. The Speedy Jack truck is getting to the spill over there in turn number 4. You see Bobby Hamilton wants to keep his tires clean. He wants no debris on his tires when he gets ready to restart this race, because the restart is when he's going to be the most vulnerable. If somebody's going to pass him, I think it's going to happen on the restart. But this is not Bobby Hamilton's first rodeo. He's made a few restarts before.
Oh, no. Speedy Dry being put down all, as Boris said, all across the front stretch. Tracy Hines was in the 13, got pinned in behind a truck in turn 4, and the fluid began to come out. He made his way down the front stretch and tried to get onto pit road, but again, the fluid coming out of his truck all the way down the front stretch.
Jack Sprague will be used to that. It'll be just like qualifying, nice and slippery.
Well, and let's touch on that story, because we had storms go through here. Yesterday was practice and qualifying. They got an hour and 45 minutes of practice, and qualifying was supposed to take place at 6 o'clock. A shower came through. They had to bring the jet dryers back out. Bobby Hamilton, Jack Sprague, those were 2 of the trucks that went out early for qualifying, and the track was still a little slick.
Sure was. The residue from the fuel in the jet dryers really makes the racetrack slick. So instead of qualifying up front, Dennis Setzer led both practice sessions. He ends up qualifying way back in the 20s, along with Jack Sprague and Bobby Hamilton. They played catch up. They've had good pit strategy. Here, 2 of the 3 are in the top 2 positions.
Ray?
Rick, let's talk about green-white checkers just a little bit. The stat is 49 times out of 247 races we've had a green-white checkered start. But guess who is the master of that deal? Well, Ron Hornaday and Jack Sprague. Those are the 2 guys that have been in either first or second position the most times when we get ready to go have a green-white checkered race. Sprague and Hornaday have done it together 9 times, but Sprague and Hamilton have not raced each other on a green-white checkered yet. Sprague will restart in second there. Can he do it? I don't know. 13 different times in his career he has started as a 1-2 guy with a green-white checkered showdown.
And today's Mobil 1 move of the race is brought to you by Mobil 1 Extended Performance, the official motor oil of NASCAR. And this move actually was brought on by NASCAR. The reason that Bobby Hamilton is up front is because of this restart by Ron Hornaday.
I tell you, looking at it right then, it looked like he may have been a couple truck lengths, Boris, before the double red line there. And I'm not sure exactly what NASCAR, they talk about absolutely do not go until the double red line. So it's hard to sit back here where we are and say, hey, NASCAR really screwed up, because he did look like he may have gone maybe a truck length or 2 before the double red line.
Also, where that double red line is, the angle that you look at it, like, he could think he's at it, but our angle where we're looking at it looks like he's before it. And I still think it was a bad call.
There it is right there. You see it on the outside wall. Now, did Ron Hornaday take off right there, or did he take off back there? That's the question that obviously NASCAR felt like he took off too soon because they black flagged.
That move put Bobby Hamilton out in front, right?
Well, guys, I've gone to the drivers' meeting ever since I started in racing. I've asked NASCAR a number of times, why don't you paint a line across the speedway to show everybody where the restart is? And they said that gives an advantage to the rest of the field and puts the leader at a disadvantage. They didn't want a specific line all the way across the speedway because guys back behind him could anticipate the start when he gets close to it and try to jump him. So that's the reason they put it on the wall, and that's the reason why they use the word in the vicinity of that line. They don't want a specific line on the racetrack because they think that would be a disadvantage to the leader.
I would definitely think that he was in the vicinity, but if NASCAR, you know, in their thinking says the vicinity means not before, well then they're obviously justified. But they're going to have, I'm sure they'll take a long look at it. But right now we're getting ready to restart this race with a green-white checker.
Green-white checker for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Bobby Hamilton out in front of Jack Sprague, Shane Meal, Todd Cleaver, and Rich Bickle. The green flag flies, 2 laps of racing to go.
Shane Meal had his truck right under Jack Sprague, pushing him down the straightaway, and he's under him.
These drivers are going to be at a big disadvantage when they get to the bottom of the racetrack if they try to make a move on the bottom because it's very slick down there. A lot of speedy drive right there.
White flag comes out. Bobby Hamilton in front of Jack Sprague. Shane Meal drops back a truck lane. Now Jack Sprague, the only competitor that is in range to take over the top spot from Bobby Hamilton. Hamilton needs a perfect turn to win this race as he comes through 3 and 4. He will get that perfect turn and win the UAW-GM 250.
What a great run by Bobby Hamilton. Those guys were not able to do anything with him. Such a difficult racetrack to pass on, but there you see Jack Sprague congratulating Bobby Hamilton. Here comes Shane Meal. He wants to say, let me congratulate him too.
3 wide at Mansfield. We saw that earlier and it didn't work out. Bobby Hamilton claiming the top spot in Mansfield. It was Jack Sprague a year ago. Sprague finishing second in this one. Bobby Hamilton, the top dog.
See Todd Cleaver riding around right behind Bobby Hamilton. Great run for him. Another top 5 finish for this rookie.
Rich Bickle with an impressive finish, finishing up in 5th position. Rick Crawford also running very well in 6th. Second win of the season for the 04 of Bobby Hamilton. He claimed the first race in Daytona, and now he claims the 6th race in Mansfield, Ohio. Celebrating in front of the grandstand. Pulled the nose of the 04 Dodge right up to the wall and smoked the tires. The crowd loving it. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series post-race show is presented by Craftsman. Let's head down to Ray Dunlap, who's with Ron Hornaday.
Well, Hornaday has just climbed out of his good wrench Chevy, and Ron, we saw Jack Sprague get black flagged as the leader one time at Memphis, but your thoughts on that? I know it's a judgment call from upstairs, but they said you jumped too early.
GM Goodwrench truck was good. That's all I can say. The cleanup crew was really on the ball tonight. I mean, that last couple of laps, that was ridiculous. Other than that, I got nothing to say. I really don't.
Wendy?
Bobby Hamilton climbs out of his Dodge truck. His team celebrating his second win of 2005, his 10th career victory in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Bobby Hamilton, a great day for you. Mansfield's Motorsports Speedway. What do you think about this place now?
Well, I like it anyhow. I mean, you just can't believe, people that hadn't been here can't believe how enthusiastic, how appreciative the fans are to see NASCAR racing here. And to come up here at the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series is pretty cool. TechNet, the law enforcement, torch run, Bailey's people, Dodge. I mean, it's a cool deal for Dodge. Casey Kane won his first race last night for Dodge, so that was real neat. It's been a good weekend.
An unfortunate event with Ron Hornaday getting on that restart, taking off and getting penalized. Did you think the 16 or the 15 had anything for you? I
was worried about them because they got a lot more experience than I do, or the 16 does. Shane's like me, ain't done it that much, but the only other green-white checker I think I've ever done is with Jack Sprague running second too, or meet him leading. So I knew that. Let me tell you something about Jack Sprague. He's a class act. You rough him up, you're gonna get roughed up back. Me and him have a perfect rapport. We never do anything like that. We race each other with a lot of respect, and I enjoy racing with him.
Did you feel Ron Hornaday jump that restart earlier in the race?
I wasn't paying any attention. I felt like it was just a matter of time. Anyhow, Ron's a fierce competitor, and he is Mr. Restart. So, I mean, NASCAR knows best. I don't know what happened.
Congratulations to Bobby Hamilton. It sounded like he was running for president earlier in the race, guys, when he was talking to you. He loves Mansfield Motorsports Park now.
Let's see if we can take a look at what we were talking about there. Look at Ron Hornaday. He took off
Boys, you talked about the difference in the angle. From that angle, that's the first time we saw that angle. It looked like he might have been 3 or 4 truck lengths early taking off.
Yeah, from that angle, it does look like he might have been just a scotch early. But still, I think the penalty doesn't fit the crime.
Well, the penalty relegated Ron Hornaday to the back of the longest lap, and it relegated Bobby Hamilton to the lead, and he held off.